An evil spirit or devil, especially one thought to possess a person or act as a tormentor in hell. Forceful, fierce, or skillful performer of a specified activity. Demon, noun. Definition from the Oxford Dictionary, ladies, and those in between. Will apply to Zach Edey one of two ways. Either he will be really good and be an absolute demon on the court, or he will be really bad and be a demon to the Grizzlies. One way or the other, Grizzlies got themselves a demon. And tonight, he makes his Summer League debut. If you want to watch me watch that with Rudy St. Clair, I will link it below. We'll be streaming that game live. But anyways, let's get into it. So, Zach Edey is someone who I have been pretty historically low on. Not like, I think he's going to be historically bad, but just in my history, I've been fairly low on him as a prospect. However, I think the landing spot changes my outlook for him quite a bit, because the Grizzlies are a perfect fit for him, and he is a perfect fit for the Grizzlies. He is 7'5", 300 pounds, and all he needs to do in this offense is set screens and get easy looks from Ja. And Ja is a great playmaker and will produce super easy looks. It's a pretty simple job. You set a screen, you get fed. It's the Steven Adams role with Russell Westbrook from a few years ago, and I think that that's a role that Zach Edey can fill. Because most of his college stuff came with post-ups or shots at the rim. Guess what he's going to be getting a lot of from Ja Morant? Shots at the rim. He's not going to be asked to be a mid-range player. He's not going to be asked to be a three-point player, obviously. But he's going to have just a role that he can fill. Easy. And his touch is very good, especially for someone of that size. His touch is immaculate. He has, he's huge, so he can set really good screens. He has a lot of skill set that will lend itself to be good on the Grizzlies. And I think that he might be in the Rookie of the Year race, which is not something I was expecting to say, because I thought he would fall a bit. But he got picked 9th, and that's draft capital. They are investing in Zach Edey. And if he turns out to be good, they've desperately needed a center for a long time, someone who would get on the glass, and Zach Edey is big enough to where you figure he's going to be a damn good rebounder. He was a pretty good rebounder in college. And you need someone like that next to Jaren Jackson, who struggles to rebound anything. You know, like, he rebounds less than, I don't know, Jake Paul. He does not rebound, and Zach Edey should help make up for that, and that would be a big thing for them, because a large part of why they haven't succeeded at the biggest stages a lot in the past is because, hey, we can't grab a board, and Edey should help with that, and he should allow Jaren to space the floor a little more and, you know, work on the perimeter more. He should allow Ja to get free, because he's going to be able to set a fucking screen. He's going to be able to, you know, bump guys and get a screen. If there's one thing that cannot be said about Zach Edey, it's that he is small. He is the biggest man in the NBA stepping into it. The only player with, like, comparable measurables is Porzingis and Wemby, and that's about it. And, like, Boban, I guess. But is Boban even in the league still? I don't know. Anyway, like, I'm just saying, he's big, he's got good touch. I think the mobility thing is overstated on both ends. I think the people who say, oh, he won't be able to move at all are kind of stupid. I kind of have said that jokingly, but he is mobile-ish for a big that size. But also to the people who are like, at the combine, that's an open court thing. In game, it's going to be a lot different. Like, if he was going against Ja Morant would blow by him every time. But, you know, he's not the most immobile big man you've ever fucking seen. And I think that is, yeah. But more or less, I think that this is the perfect landing spot for him. Because I think if he went higher than this, there would be too high of expectations for him, even in a draft class in which, you know, there's very little expectation to be had. Like, if he, for whatever reason, was the #1 overall pick, he would be a bust. Just like Zachary Risacher is probably going to be a bust. Because the #1 overall pick, no one was going to fit that in this draft besides maybe not Reed Shepard, maybe Alexander Sarr and Ron Holland. Those are the only two players I could see having the upside to justify a #1 overall pick. And they didn't take either of them. They took Harrison Barnes. They took French Tobias Harris. He should be a fine player. I'll make a video on Risacher at some point, in all likelihood. But, you know, he doesn't have those expectations. He doesn't have star expectations. The Grizzlies are going to be a great team, likely a top 4 seed in the West, and I think that are going to set him up for success. I just think that's going to be an easy thing for them to do because he has a very well-defined role. He doesn't need to be a star to make the pick worth it. He just needs to be a good role player. And I think that the path for him being a good role player is very obvious to see for this. By the end of the cycle, I had moved Edey from around the end of the first round, early second round, all the way up to about 17 to 16 on my board. And I think with the Grizzlies, if I were making a Grizzlies specific board, he would be in the top 13 or so, top 10 maybe. He is someone who I have kind of done a complete 180 on as a prospect, in large part due to talking to people who also know draft stuff and watching more tape myself, you know, hearing what they've said, coming back to the games that I watched and looking through it through a different lens and seeing a bit more of what had been outlined for me, you know, to look for, as in, you're not betting on him to maybe be a star. And specifically with the Grizzlies, you're betting on him to be a really good role player. And one thing that my friend Trill says a lot, which is also the best NBA podcast, in my opinion, or one of, at least, the You Know Ball podcast. Check it out. It's hilarious. I've been on it a couple of times, but yeah, check out his show. But either way, him and Sam Shaheen's show, he's said if you're betting on someone to be a star, you're betting on them to have an outlier skill or an outlier. And Zach Edey's outlier is his size and his touch at that size, and he's just so big that he might be a star if he develops right. And I could see that. I really could. I had a harder time seeing it before he got drafted to the Grizzlies, but now that he's been drafted into a situation where he's going to be in a position with a very well-defined role at first, with opportunity to expand that role as time goes on, and also that the Grizzlies are just a good organization to be a part of for young guys. You know, they have a good development staff. They have historically done pretty well with rookies outside of like Zaire Williams. I really just buy the Grizzlies as this organization. So, and that's kind of my thoughts on Zach Edey. So if you guys liked this video, like, subscribe, all that. Thank you guys for 1,000 subs, by the way. I did get there, and now I'm monetized, so I appreciate it a lot. Just wanted to say thank you, and that I really do appreciate you guys supporting me so far. Hopefully this is the first of a few thousand, you know. Let's take time to enjoy it, smell the roses. Anyways, yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.